be a homemaker, taking care of having babies and taking care of kids, taking care of kids and taking care of your husband and being a good little helpmate. You don't need a job because your man, but the rules of manhood, they're supposed to provide. You don't need a job. You need to make my sandwiches. You need to clean the kitchen. You need to make the house nice. You need to clean. You need to wash the clothes so I can go to work looking fresh and fine and cook for me so I can be full and have sex with me whenever I want to have sex with you, even if you don't want to do it. That's your job. You're my wife. This is the life of a woman. So I calculated another thing, and I calculated the amount of money that they said. So they said a woman who was doing these women's jobs, she couldn't really get out and do stuff because it wasn't paying. She was getting paid $80 a week, and with inflation, if you do that to today's time and convert that to today's time, she's making 32K a year. So imagine in this day and age making 32K a year, which a lot of people are and struggling to do. But it would be like every woman who wanted to have a career. That is the top that you can make. Of course, we have women now that are making money. Da, 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 da. But at the time, that was a good amount of money that you could be making. 32K. And that's the inflated price. And so I just thought that that's in 2025, that would be the equivalent. And so you couldn't really do nothing and get a house and da 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 da. You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to do nothing. Hey Andrew, hey Cara, Jicky, it's time to masculinity to respect the feminine as its equal. Mm-hmm. So I just thought that was interesting and how it started out by them showing that this is where it was, and these kind of conversations were being had behind the scenes, and the movement was happening. Oh, what I love about what they also talked about, because this is print, um, the movement was already happening. And I think this is something that we need to learn about. Not necessarily need to learn, but we need to think about even in this day's time. Sometimes we would hear about stuff on the news or when it goes viral on the internet. Stuff is already happening. People are already fighting some of these things that we have an issue with. People are already out here doing it by the time you hear about it, if you are not active. And so what I loved about this, they were talking about the movement was already happening and people were finding out about the feminist, the live movement that was happening. Like people were already on the ground, grassroots doing the work, but people were kind of finding out about it. And so they showcase some of the key players. Gloria Steinem, shout out to Gloria Steinem. I'm on a board of Call Me In with her, and she's just one of my favorite white women. Shout out to Gloria Steinem, Dorothy Pittman Hughes, Patricia Carbine. Patricia Carbine, she worked at Bacall, one of the classic women's magazines. This light is running out. She became the managing editor in 1966 and the executive editor.
Finally! Stupid bitch.
operations in the same way, huh? Now, we look for the vault. Maybe start in the central building.
Cast managed. Um, I'm a rapper, so this is my flow. Uh, A B C 1 2 3. Cast ministry. What up, my head? I'm bullshitting. I'm bullshitting, man. Opposite day.
Are you in? You did not get sucked into a turbine. I knew you'd be fine. How likely is it I have two operations in the same way, huh? Now, we look for the vault. Maybe start in the central building. Be careful in this area. Mr. Rubio's personal bodyguards, they know their soldiers, and they will know you are not one of them, no matter what uniform you are wearing. Are you in? You did not get sucked into a turbine. I knew you'd be fine. How likely is it I have two operations in the same way, huh? Now, we look for the vault. Maybe start in the central building. Watch out for the Mr. Rubio's personal bodyguards. They patrol this area. They will know every soldier on the island. Them you cannot fool, no matter what you are wearing.
La puta. La puta.
If a gate is locked, look for the key. Probably it is with one of the many people you have shot. Well, judging from the lack of terrified screams, I will assume you made it through the uncharted tunnel and into the den of strung-out militiamen. Good. Things are going according to plan, huh? Now, let's see what he has for us in the vault this time. Watch out for the Mr. Rubio's personal bodyguards. They patrol this area. They all know every soldier on the island. Them you cannot fool, no matter what you are wearing.
Get.
The door requires 2 keycards. Do you have them both? You're not thinking of jumping, are you? I thought we were getting along so well.
No.
Are you in? You did not get sucked into a turbine. I knew you'd be fine. How likely is it I have two operations in the same way, huh? Now, we look for the vault. Maybe start in the central building. Do you have both key cards for this door? Be careful in this area. Mr. Rubio's personal bodyguards. They know their soldiers, and they will know you are not one of them, no matter what uniform you are wearing.
Acaba de irse. Hace nada estaba preguntando por usted.
I'm sorry, the CCTV image is a little blurry. Was that a gun made of gold? Always worth looking in the safe.
I'm gonna wear this one because I have blue nails. Well, I guess I gotta drink it because you keep fucking with it. I'm trying to fuck with it. Ugh. Ugh.
I'm Ju. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hero Cosmetics, and I founded the viral Mighty Patch. I was living in Korea from 2012 to 2014, and I was just breaking out all.
But in a different way with us now. With us now.
Now, make your preparations. You will be ashore soon. GPS locked. I have your position. I will also access compound CCTV to see you when you are there.
So, the magazine comes out in 72 to start the conversation. On a public level, remember the movement had already been started, but to start it to where we have major big public conversations. 72. Came out in 72, they started having the conversation in 76. They did the first, they not started having the conversation, but had the first domestic violence issue 76, first sexual harassment issue 77. It did not get changed on a legislative level till 20 years later from the start of the magazine in 1994.
Piss off.
So that's 20 years of conversation to get to the point where we got legislation to protect women against violence. 20 years. And then we start to see that's crazy. It's okay. All right. Let's see where we at. Make sure you thumbs up if you are watching. All right. So this is another element of when I think about the trans fight. When we started to see the trans issue come to the fore, like the trans started to get more visibility, I think was in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then bam, 20 years later, we are at the peak of the changes in a positive level for trans people. So remember Jerry Springer, when people started to see movies, we started to get a spotlight in trans visibility. Not positive, but we started to see the trans thing become on television and be kind of little sparks in cultural. Fast forward 20 years later, 2020, we started to see the change. We started the tipping point 10 years ago.
Watch out for Mr. Rubio's personal bodyguards. They patrol this area. They will know every soldier on the island. Them you cannot fool, no matter what you are wearing. There will be many locked doors in Mr. Rubio's house. Worth looking for keys, I think. possible, then head home.
Yeah. Um, editor in 19 where I want to do other stuff, but now I'm in this box. One of the girls end up getting pregnant, and it just was a weird. It was not weird. The movie and waiting for you in the world if you married, like, these were women's jobs because women weren't culturally out in the streets with careers, out in the streets going to get an education, going to get degrees for career purposes. Yeah, you get it. You from good stock. You go to the great college, get your degree in crocheting and typing and some bullshit ass degree because the intent is for you to go get married and have some damn babies to take care of home. That was the life of a woman prior to the 70s. And because of who we are as a generation and as a people, we kind of take our freedom for granted and don't understand how easily and how these motherfuckers on the right are trying to get us back to that level. They are trying for, and when I say us, I'm talking about all women. Of course, I'm a trans woman, so for me, they don't want me to exist. They want me to be a man and go, honey, take these titties off and honey, be a man and invest in patriarchy. That's what they want me to do. But if you have a universe, they want you to be a homemaker, taking care of having babies and taking care of kids, taking care of kids and taking care of your husband and being a good little helpmate. You don't need a job because your man, the rules of manhood, they're supposed to provide. You don't need a job. You need to make my sandwiches. You need to clean the kitchen. You need to make the house nice. You need to clean. You need to wash the clothes so I can go to work looking fresh and fine and cook for me so I can be full and have sex with me whenever I want to have sex with you, even if you don't want to do it. That's your job. You're my wife. This is the life of a woman. So I calculated another thing. And I calculated the amount of money that they said. So they said a woman who was doing these women's jobs, she couldn't really get out and do stuff because it wasn't paying. She was getting paid $80 a week, and with inflation, if you do that to today's time and convert that to today's time, she's making 32K a year. So imagine it's making 32K a year. To do. But it would be like every woman wanted to have a career. That is the top that you can get. Of course, we have women now making money. But at the time, that was the good amount of money that you could be making. 32K. That's the inflated price. And so I just thought that that's in 2025. That's what we should put. And so you couldn't really do nothing and get a house and da 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 da. You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to do nothing. Hey Andrew, hey Cara, Jimmy, it's time to not get into respect for Jimmy as it's equal. Mm-hmm. So I just thought that was interesting and how it started out by me showing that this is where he was and these kind of conversations were being had behind the scenes and the movement was happening all over. What I love about what they also talked about, because this is great, um, the movement was already happening. And I think this is something that we need to learn about. When you think about it, even in this day's time, sometimes we would hear about stuff on the news or when it goes viral on the internet. Stuff is already happening. People are already fighting some of these things that we have an issue with. People are already out here doing it. By the time you hear it, if you are not active. And so what I loved about this, that we're talking about, the movement was already happening how the feminist, the Liz movement that was happening. Like people were already on the ground grassroots doing the work, but people were kind of finding out about it. And so they showcased some of the key players. Gloria Steinem, shout out to Gloria Steinem. I'm on board being with her, and she's just one of my favorite white women. Shout out to Gloria Steinem, Dorothy Pittman Hughes, um, Patricia Carvine. Patricia Carvine, she worked at Bacall, one of the classic women's magazines. Yeah. She became the managing editor in 1966 and the executive editor.
I really didn't know it. Didn't. Bear with me. Bear with me.
The one and only. So what you looking for? Stay strapped.
Hey there, Brad. So did I get the part? After the audition, I went back to his place.
I get the job, man, later. No, no.
Hey, lady, watch it. Now leave me alone.
Boss at main entrance.
Is legit.
I got cut by my own knitting needle last night. The knitting circle was at my house this week, too. I know. Usually we're knitting when that happens. We tend to use razor blades for the sacrifice.
I could not agree more.
Domino's Best Deal Ever is back. Any hand-tossed pan, thin crust, or New York-style pizza with 80 toppings for just $9.99.
Protection, AIDS. You use a protected HIV. It would never be anything cultural bomb, and it was amazing. So that's what the documentary is about. When it first starts off, it talked about what they also talked about because this is print. Um, the movement was already happening. Y'all mama's cousins. Like there was a post. This girl did a video.
Okay.
Um, what I loved about it, I loved the whole thing. It's my bag. Um, it just gave you context that we take for granted in our culture. It a lot of the context, some of the stuff that we have been accustomed to as millennial women, as maybe even Gen Z women, and definitely anybody younger than millennials. There's some things that we have come become accustomed to that the boomers didn't have. The boomers, did this work and um, led in this era. And so for me, hearing that context is always amazing to me because you kind of can take stuff for granted if you don't know how far we have come in regards to the movement when it comes to women's rights and feminism and um, even trans inclusive feminism, just all that kind of stuff, and black women inclusive feminism because yeah, that's just what it is. And you, it showcased how I'll get to that. I'm gonna say that right now. Say that. I'll talk about that later. As far as the erasure. um, it starts off the documentary starts off by remember this is called Myth, History and Print. This is a documentary about the foundation of the Myth magazine, and this is the publication that kind of spearheaded um, the women's lib movement, feminism in its second era, second or third era. I don't remember exactly which ways it was. Um, but this is grew in the 70s and just kind of came to fruition just like a bomb, cultural bomb, and it was amazing. So that's what the documentary is about. When it first starts off, it talks about how it just kind of lays out what the culture was like at the time between the 50s and the 60s. This boom in this magazine launched in the 70s, but what they were discussing is how the world was, and one of the things that stood out was how women's jobs were really, really gendered because during this time, have y'all ever seen the movie called either is it Mona Smile or Mona Lisa Smile? It has Julia Roberts, and she is a professor at a women's college. And one of the things throughout the movie is, it's white women in this movie. Julia Stiles, Kristen Dunst, Julia Stiles, Kristen Dunst, and just some other. Gyllenhaal, what's her name? Is it Megan Gyllenhaal? I can't remember her first name. Her last name was Gyllenhaal. She's Jake's sister. But anyway, it's called Mona Lisa Smile. And it really shines a light on the culture. Imagine, it shines a light on the culture of how women would go to college, and college really didn't matter. It's kind of like you get your college, but your goal is to find your husband and get your ring, and you just go home and be a homemaker. And this was a time when women was kind of battling that, where I don't want to be a homemaker, I want to be a career woman, but that wasn't culturally the thing to do. You don't need another show that y'all need to watch a little bit. I know it's like, but The Crown on Netflix, following Queen Elizabeth, that show showcases it too. If you remember, because she was the queen, they were like, when she was trying to learn certain things in her upbringing and her schooling, they were like, "Oh, you don't need to learn that because you are going to be the queen. All you need to learn is this pomp and circumstance shit. You don't need to learn any kind of education for real, for real." And so it was a tension there because it was like, wait, I still want to be educated. I still want to know what's going on in the world. I might want to do something else and have different interests. But you're telling me because of this box that you have me as the queen, you um you're not letting me.
Go! We need crowd control managing hostages. Demolitions and hacker putting down guards. Again, try not to kill the hostages. If this goes to shit, we'll need collateral. The guards are down? Okay, demolitions, blow the first gate. Charges are on a timer. Keep that in mind. Remember, the gates you're going through are a special alloy. Only the thermal charges you got from the convoy will work on them. Stay in control. If they think you're weak, they might try something. Demolitions through the first gate. Crowd control, get behind there and get your guns in the tellers. Now, there's a second gate that'll get you access to the lower level. Blow it. Let the hostages know what happens to heroes, yeah? This ain't the movies. Hacker, you're up. We've repackaged that other crew's hardware. Plug it into the access panel and get into the bank network. If you don't control the crowd or you have to pop someone, this thing's gonna get a whole lot more difficult. Click My Computer and access the external device. The program will expose each character of the password as it tries different encryptions. That's it! The vault door is opening! Demolitions, use the remaining thermal explosives on the titanium gates in the vault. Holy back on the main floor.
No.
I need you to stay together. Come out of the bank, take a left down Vinewood Boulevard, and duck down the alley to the right. Keep going down the alley. Come on, move! You don't want to get surrounded. Move, move! The cops have cleared all vehicles near the bank. You're making a run for those bikes. I'll take you on the best route, trying to keep you away from as many cops as I can. Keep going down the alley. Go, 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 go! You don't want to hang around out there. Follow the route as quick as you can. Damn! Get this scumbag! I got your back! It's over! Don't tell me I lost this asshole! Ready? I got your back! Give up now!
Please welcome the Fantastic Four. We will face this together.
New York Pride. Doing your place. Yeah, we're gonna give you this position because you know you've been working here for a long time, and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that. But to make sure you know you're not at 60 years a man, we ain't gonna put your name right there. Even though you're doing the same exact job, we ain't gonna put your name. It's my bad. It just gave you context and nuance. Like mine, if they're old, it just gave you context that we take for granted in our culture. It's a lot of context, some of the stuff that we have been accustomed to as millennial women, as maybe even Gen Z women, and definitely anybody younger than millennials. There's some things that we have become accustomed to that the boomers.
Hey, what's your Instagram? It's my name on here, wherever it is, somewhere.
And so for me, giving
That's all my socials. It's my name wherever it is somewhere. It moves around.
In regards to the movement when it comes to women's rights and feminism and even trans inclusive feminism, just all that kind of stuff. Black women inclusive feminism is consideration.
You can stream there and filter people out
It showcased how
there, and it can be a private stream, just you and me. Alright, I'll DM you there. I'm not aware of that. I don't really stream on Instagram. You can only stream for an hour on Instagram, so I don't really see the point. Even like my basic streams are like 2 hours long. You can stream and you can lock the stream. Okay. It's just you and me. Ooh, baby. Wow, I had a brain fart. What is the name of that song? I think it's just you and me. Yeah, I think it's just you and me. So yes. So why do you want to have a stream just you and me? Ooh, baby. I want to know why. You're a pansexual. Indeed, indeed. And that's, I'm a trans guy. Oh, nice. Okay. So I'm like, okay.
One of the things that stood out was women's jobs.
I mean, but why do I have to go on stream to talk to you though?
During this time, have y'all ever seen the movie?
I'm a trans guy. That's cool. Where are you like located? USA, Europe. He really didn't have to do that. He really could have just went right to the dinghy. He really didn't have to do that. I don't know why he did that, but he did. LMAO, you don't. It's up to you. I mean, do you have Snap? Because I'm always on Snap. I'm never on IG, but I'm always on Snap.
I can't remember her first name. Her last name was just she's Jake Silver. But anyway, it's called Mona Lisa Smile. And it really shines a light on the culture magic. It shines a light on the culture of how women would go to college. You go to college, but your goal is to find your husband. You get your ring.
So it's a no one Snap, I guess. So like I said, I'm always on Snap. I'm about to post on Snap actually in a few minutes. Well, actually not a few minutes, actually, about an hour. Yeah, probably an hour. I don't have to watch.
You know, it's spicy, but The Crown on Netflix.
Girl said it's spicy. I'm done.
Queen Elizabeth. That show showcases it too. If you remember, because she was the queen, they were like, when she was trying to learn certain things in her upbringing, her schooling, they were like, "Oh, you don't need to learn that because you are going to be the queen. All you need to learn is this pomp and circumstance shit. You don't need to learn any kind of education for real, for real." And so,
I thought you were just a bunch of creepy and quiet weirdos. Turns out you're a bunch of creepy, quiet weirdos with talent. You rob and you steal and destroy like geniuses.
That's funny. He's gonna live a long ass time.
Wire you your money? You know, I will never forget the good times. All the laughs we had. You're like family. The picnic, the hike in the woods, and all the selfies, and oh, and the time we went rollerblading, and we watched the sunset, and we stayed up all night talking and sharing our innermost fears, and then what was that? That wasn't you? Even the skinny dipping and the oh Oh, what are you saying? The drugs. Oh man, the drugs. I am a heavily medicated man. I'm not well at all. I'm a little embarrassed. Okay, the money here, and here, and here, and here. Okay, you better take off and take care. Okay. Bye bye.
I think so, pretty much, yeah. I actually don't even remember. I had to think about that. I don't remember when it was. But definitely after. I'm gonna figure that out now. It's gonna bother me. Hmm. Really don't know. I love it. I live. She said, you better pay the fee plus interest. I'm fucking done. You better pay the fee plus interest.
What you carrying lately? What can I get you? Stay strapped.
I know I wore that yesterday. Oh, that's gonna bother me though.
It was a tension there because
But that's what that's there for.
I still with inflation, if you do that to today's time and convert that to today's time, she's making 32K. So imagine this day and age, making 32K a year, which a lot of people are struggling to do. But it would be like every woman who wanted to have a career. That is the top that you can make. Of course, we have women now that are making money. Da, 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 da. But at the time, that was a good amount of money that you could be making. 32K. And that's the completed price. And so I just thought that, and that's in 2025, that would be the equivalent. And so you couldn't really do nothing and get a house and da 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 da. You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to do nothing. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Cara. Chicky, it's time to masculinity to respect the feminine as its equal. So I just thought that that was interesting and how it started out by them showing that this is where we was, and these kind of conversations were being had.
I'm so confused. I mean, she's not wrong. Damn, I didn't get anything. Oh well.
Wherever you get your podcasts. Hello, welcome to CNU.
I live. I love how I still get text, but I can't actually do anything.
behind the scenes, and the movement was happening. Oh, what I love about what they offer, because this is free, um, the movement was already happening, and I think this is something that we need to learn about. Not necessarily just learn, but we need to think about, even in this day's time. Sometimes we would hear about stuff on the news or when it goes viral on the internet. Stuff is already happening. People are already fighting some of these things that we have issues with. People are already out here doing it by the time you hear about it, if you are not active. And so what I loved about this that we're talking about, the movement was already happening and people were finding out about the feminist, the live movement that was happening. Like people were already on the ground, grassroots doing the work, but people were kind of finding out about it. And so they showcase some of the key players. Gloria Steinem, shout out to Gloria Steinem. I won a board coordinating with her, and she's just one of my favorite white women. Shout out to Gloria Steinem, Dorothy Pittman Hughes, um, Patricia Carbine. Patricia Carbine, she worked at McCall, one of the classic women's magazines. This letter's going out. She became the managing editor in 1966 and the executive editor in 1969, which was the highest position held by a woman in a magazine, general interest magazine. Although the owner of the magazine refused to name her at the top of the masthead, but this was customary for men who was in that position. But because she was a woman, the first woman in that position, he didn't want to put her name as it traditionally should be at the top of the masthead. And so this is those little things that passive aggressively put, it's like a micro aggression that will put you in your place. Yeah, we're gonna give you this position because you've been working here for a long time. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that. But to make sure you know you're not assisting as a man, we ain't gonna put your name right there. Even though you're doing the same exact job, we ain't gonna put your name right there. Those little things will go and everything will be okay. Um, one of the quotes, one of the ladies, I think it was Dorothy Pittman Hughes, she said everybody was a baby. And I thought that was dope because y'all asked me this question, and I know everybody doesn't identify as a feminist, but I don't think most people who don't identify. When if somebody says, "Oh, I'm not with that feminist stuff," or "I'm not down with that feminist stuff," if you ask them, "Do you think women should be equal?" They'll say yes. Do you think women should have the right to get paid the exact same as a man if she is doing the exact same job? They will say yes. Do you think a woman should have the freedom to make the the choices about her life, like what career she wants to go into, whether she wants to be a wife, whether she wants to be a career woman, whether she wants to be both. If you ask them, should she have that freedom? A lot of them will say yes. And that's what feminism is. That's what being a feminist is about. That freedom, that equality, and da 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 da. So usually, because of propaganda, people who don't fuck with, I'm not a feminist, because of propaganda, they will say they're not that. When you actually are. Like, and sometimes people don't have the language of it. Or they don't know history. A lot of people associate feminism with white feminism because black feminism, who started on the ground, on the grassroots level, started the idea, started pushing back. But we don't get to hear about them because white women have to do it because they were white. And so it seems like a white movement when it was a multi-layered, multi-people. So when the white middle class women like Betty Friedan was writing books, The Feminine Mystique, you think that it's the white woman who's coming up with the ideas, but you don't know that it was Polly Murray, a trans ass person, who was editing and writing this for Betty. You didn't know that. You didn't know that Polly was the person who was doing this work. Polly is the one who laid the legal foundation to get Brown versus Board of Education to desegregate. Like Thurgood Marshall, who is sprouted as this beacon of legal, groundbreaking black male, one of the first black male justice on the Supreme Court. The case that he won, the foundation, and he admits it, he says it, the case that he won was Polly Murray. Her letter, her legal framework is what got us to get that Brown versus Board of Education. This trans masculine lesbian woman who wasn't able to realize herself as a trans masculine person, but we learned later in life in her documentary that she actually was trans, trying to navigate it, but she just was born at a time when people didn't explore the trans identity. So by the time trans people come up in the 70s, she was born in 1910, 09 or something, somewhere around there. So by the time the 70s come around, mama's old bull dagger. Even though she was trying to get on hormones in the 30s, in the 40s, like it's documented. I feel like my body don't match. So, but the shine, who got the shine? It was Thurgood Marshall who got the shine, not this black feminist trans icon who nobody talked about because she was a butch lesbian who didn't want to wear dresses, who was actually the not best friends, but close friends with Eleanor Roosevelt, who was a part of, so many things, but because she was black ass lesbian, who ignored it. But the black man lawyer, because of how sexism was working, you want a book that explains all of this. Jane Crow. So this is the thing about share this out. So in the box. in the box. There you go. My bookshop. So it's called Jane Crow. Check it out. It's good. Also, so that's an erasing that's a erasure of Holly Murray's contribution not only to this black man's success, but then Betty Friedan, she like Betty Friedan, her book Feminine Mystique is one of the books that was just shrouded as this book that changed the culture. But they don't tell you that Polly Murray was the editor. She was the one who was helping her as a black queer woman, helping her um, uh, create this thought. Like she was molding this thought in this white woman, this middle class white woman who was tired of, not being respected because she was an educated woman. She wanted to be more than a housewife. So then fast forward to the 70s when Ruth Bader Ginsburg, this white Jewish lawyer, who was first woman, I think she was the first woman in Harvard, law in Harvard. And, they were, yes, she was dealing with the sexism of that educational institution. But when she got her first case, when she was really trying to do these groundbreaking cases, it was Polly Murray again. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg put her in the credits. Polly Murray, her legal mind is who put me on the path.
Girl.
You didn't answer my plea.
Mm-mm-mm.
I still owe you a thrashing on the squash court.
Oh.
Alright, you on the way to the LS Naval Port? I'm monitoring close channels, so I'll let you know if there are any problems on the horizon. Get the chopper and get out. That's the order of the day. You can approach Merryweather's positions from the front or the back, on land or by sea, or from both directions.
I've never been listening to her. She's been doing this already before me for 40, 50 years. As a lawyer, she already been doing it. But because y'all embrace black women, black queer women, now we know trans person, trans men, y'all are not actually
Boy.
Sniper units and emergency response teams. Your best shot is moving fast and staying in front of them. The Valkyrie attack chopper's got 3 gun placements. Minigun positions on either side and a large caliber explosive round gun in the co-pilot's seat. So, one of you will fly it, the other 3 will shoot. That's on the off chance there's anything to shoot other than seagulls. You going in the front? Okay, remember, they know that warehouse better than you. They know the hiding spots. Watch your 6s, watch your 3s. Keep it 2 by 2. Over. Fairweather channel's blowing up. I'll take that to mean you've made contact. Move on the chopper. 1 flying, the rest manning the guns. They've dispatched air units. Point and pull the triggers. You cannot bring bogies back to us. That bird's got a beak and talons, but not many feathers, if you get me. It's well armed with barely any armor. Pilot, keep the other helos at a distance. Gunners, make your shots count. Looks like you're almost with them. Bring the chopper down easy. You don't want to mess this up now.
Okay, we got it from here.
ready. And so you think feminism is a white people thing or a white woman thing because you don't know Francis Harper. You don't know the black people who contribute to this movement. You don't know that while white women was in the Gilded Age, living it up with maids and if they weren't poor, living it up and being housewives and stuff. That black women had been having to work.
Head out to Coffee Bridge and I'll come back with a POA.
Men have been having to work and share property. Men having to work. And so they've been wrestling with the idea and not working at the same time. It's not a rule. And they're not paying me as much. And I'm doing the same job. I'm working.
So you're gonna run what's known in the biz as a hijacking because you're hijacking the Merryweather convoy. The bridge is a nice, tidy place to get it done. Not many places they can go, but plenty of options for you. You can station people at vantage points, block the road, and wait for them to roll into the trap. You can try to take out all the drivers at once, or you can concentrate really hard and try to make the truck levitate with your minds. This is San Andreas, after all. Do whatever you think will work, but get the truck and don't let anyone follow it. You're bringing it to Page and Grape Seas so she can dig out the thermal charges. Oh yeah, and that reminds me. Try not to blow them up. Do not damage that truck at all, okay? I'll be in touch when there's a target about a click out from the bridge.
That's the core pillar of what feminism is. Now, white thing, not an anti-black thing. Feel like we should get paid equally if we're doing the same work. We should be having access to the same opportunities. We should have sovereignty over our bodies, agency over our bodies. That's, if you believe that, and men shouldn't be doing that. And there's people who have already. Is what it is. Let me see. Oh, what I also love about the documentary, it shows Ms. That Ms. was full of activism. Like Susan, Ron Levine, one of the first articles. This was so, I love that they showed this because people act like these conversations are new and they're not new. One of the first articles in the very first edition, which was sold out, the article was Desexing the English language. And one of the closest languages is math into the brain as gender. And so I wanted to talk about that. So desexing the English language appeared in the first issue of Ms. Magazine. Since that spring of 1972, the effort to remove sex bias from English was gone in and out of intellectual and cultural facts. But it was succeeded, but with this movement, it succeeded in so many ways. We looked at how sex bias was revealed by pronouns and other vocabulary choices. So when we try to act like pronouns and discussion just came out in the past 5 years, that's a lie. They have always had debates about language and how gendered language is. This is one of the first articles in 1972 within the magazine. And they were grappling with the idea. As soon as you say mankind, you're just thinking about men and how language erases women. And so when somebody say, "Oh my God, cisgender, why you gotta call me something? Why you gotta call me something? I'm the woman." We've been grappling with language and nuances of language and how they erase people for centuries. And so I love that even in the first edition of this magazine, that language was at the center of the conversation when we were talking about equality. So when women act like they don't know, when TERFs act like they don't know, or when cisgender people act like they don't know or don't understand, it's because they're intellectually bereft and don't read and don't deep dive into why these things are important and how pervasive language can be when it comes to marginal. It was more common then to refer to policemen and stewardesses rather than a more inclusive language like police officer or flight attendant. And assuming that male pronouns are inclusive of women led to an unconscious exclusion of women's experiences. Language differences, it was argued, could lead to different treatment. Thus, one of the legal struggles for women's equality came in the 60s and 70s as flight attendants worked against workplace discrimination. The article was written by Casey Miller and Kate Swift. Both had worked as editors, said they became revolutionary upon editing a junior high school sex education manual, which seemed to pay more attention to boys than girls. They realized that the problem was in the use of most male pronouns. That was the issue because it was only focused on boys. When girls, the sexism was being more marginalized around sex and education, more boxed in. So they don't know what's going on with their bodies, don't know, and we'll talk about this later, don't know that orgasms are even fucking real. It was a lot of bullshit going on. They talked about words like mankind being problematic because it defines both male. In other words, the generic human is assumed to be male. And we know this, that the generic woman is assumed to be just cisgender. When it's trans women, it's all black women. And woman at this time was assumed to be white woman. So black women say, yo, we are women too. Even the whole Sojourner Truth, the ain't I a woman, was the myth of that is, you know, it was white women, when you have a puddle on the street and a man is being nice to her and treating her nice because she's a woman, and they weren't doing the same thing to black women, the puddle on the street, and you cover it up so a white woman can jump over it and not get wet. This black woman is like, ain't I a woman? Do I not deserve that courtesy and that respect and all that kind of stuff? That the whole core to that argument, to that poem, to that speech, ain't I a woman? But because she was being erased. And I talked about this in my video when they were having that silly conversation about remember that silly viral moment where it was a lie, but they were with this propaganda thing, fake thing, was making it that trans women will have an issue with recent pregnancy. You make me feel like a natural woman. I did a video response to that because I think it opens up the conversation, and because you know, I think the whole point of the song is saying, "You make me feel like a natural woman." For a cisgender woman to say that, it is because the world around her is not making her feel. It's not making her feel loved. It's not making her feel like she should be protected and taken care of. So she's telling this man that you make me feel like a natural woman. You let me sit in my femininity. It's very tricky, but that feel like a natural woman because other people or the world is not making me feel like a woman. Despite having a house, despite having a baby, despite being a wife, despite whatever, I'm not feeling like a woman. So I make this song that says, you make me feel like a natural woman. That's the whole point of these moments, because that language, that feeling, that's just the whole point. So when you just say woman, sometimes that's not inclusive. If you just say man, sometimes if you just say man, it's not like mankind. It's not inclusive of women. You get what I'm saying? We got a few slightly problematic kids. Oh, we got a lot of them. um, um, this also recalls Simone Bouvier's argument in The Second Sex that women is the other, always the object of a male subject. By calling attention to the hidden biases in words like mankind, feminists attempt to make not just language, but also society more inclusive of women. And so this is what women were fighting for, to be inclusive in the conversation and not to be erased in the language. And that is what
Well, hello, y'all. It is Ramona Lisa here with another OOTD. I'm very excited for today. It's the 4th of July, and I'm going to the cookout. My black friends invited me. So let me show you what I'm wearing. So I got a couple of things. I got this hat from Home Depot. I think it's lawn furniture, but I bought it for a hat. I got this sweater from the Old Navy. It's super comfortable. I got this necklace from this lesbian I met in college. I was going to do an experimental stage. I got this bracelet from a fan. It's really gorgeous. It's an I Heart Lydia. I got these earrings of a dead person I found on the street. He stopped breathing, but I got these earrings and now I'm living. And I thrifted this bag and I got this gorgeous little boo on it. It's really gorgeous. Look at it. Oh, and you can't forget the shoes. Just some flip-flops. All right, I gotta go. Bye. Well, hello, y'all. It is Carmel and Lisa. Somebody's gotta wear a pretty skirt. Somebody's gotta be the one in the front. Somebody's
Hey, I need you to listen. We are not used to seeing rich Black. So I have been tagged oodles of times in the video that Laverne posted about someone dating this MAGA voting police officer that I believe is about a bigger kind of story piece that she's doing. And I just want to start off by saying, y'all probably are not going to live for my response, and you're absolutely not going to get from me what I think some people want. Not everyone. Some people want. First of all, the same belief I have for girls in regards to anything that is associated with me, I'm going to do my best to have for other girls, especially Black girls. If I really had an issue with anything that any of my people said, I would reach out to them first. Y'all wouldn't know first. If y'all know first about something that I have an issue with someone, I don't really care about that relationship. Secondly, I think there is a perception that because the world decides that there are certain people who are seen as colleagues or in the same class of people, that we all have those type of relationships. We don't. And I always try to be really thoughtful about saying the difference between, oh, I know them, we've spoken before, we've been in Instagram messages, or we've texted, or we're friendly, or we're friends. I think within trans community, we use the term sister a lot. I think I have learned that that's just an exchange. It's not really a thought through statement. It is a colloquial, bitch, y'all know my man's ain't here. That being said, so I wanted to lay out, we started with me explaining the things, relationship, and me and Laverne are friendly. But we're friendly enough to where if I really wanted to say something in regards to something she said, I would do my due diligence to reach out to her before I brought it to social media, because I just think that's how I move. That being said, at first I was like, "Ooh, girl, take this down." Then, as I slept on it last night, I wanted to keep it up, and I'm glad she posted it, and this is why. It's messy. It is complicated. It is a nuanced conversation. It is causing people to look at her in a certain way or ask questions. And it's a level of being personal and being authentic and being messy and not having to be perfect and not having to give us a version of herself that is wrapped in PR that I really desire from Laverne. As a icon within our community, I feel like, as someone who's been in rooms with her, I don't know her as much as I would like to know her. And what I have learned being in these spaces, and not as big a spaces as she's been in, but being in spaces, is that a quick way to protect yourself is by not giving people all of you and giving people a version of you that allows you to do what you need to do, but doesn't position you to have to be under attack, to fight for your name and your integrity and your reputation. And so I understand the why, but as a community member, as someone who tries to figure out how I move with authenticity, I'm excited. I appreciate that. 3, the truth of the matter is, for most marginalized people, but in this instance for Black trans women, usually to get access to something the world tells you you're supposed to have just by your existence as a human being, we have to compromise and trade on the very needs we may deserve to have as a human being. And what I mean by that is, to be a Black woman in this world, a Black trans woman in this world, there's so much of our existence connected to being loved and cared about. And you can have the career, you can have the houses, you can have all the things, but you ain't got no man. What does that mean? Most people who have a man, you're compromising something in your value system to be with him. Or you've adapted your value system to align with his to where it doesn't feel like you're compromising. And there may be some of y'all who haven't done that at all. Congratulations. But more often than not, I see either the woman evolves to align to where there doesn't feel like there's a cognitive dissonance between how they move and what they believe in and the person that they are with, or they allow the dissonance to exist and they've compartmentalized it and they're focused on the benefit more than what it detracts from. And I think that says that in this example here. Even the randomest hookup, I've reached a point where there are some days that I don't want to ask you questions, because if I get the answer, I can't even get hunched on. Because there'll be a man online who will spend his whole day talking about he loves trans women, who will tell us that he voted for Trump. On every dating profile I have, there are men in MAGA hats who are in your inbox. And when you ask them, what do we have in common? They are perplexed and they don't understand the difference. Also, the pandemic was ugly. I was back hunching on my ex-husband in the pandemic because I was like, if the world is ending, I might as well be with the devil I know. None of these are excuses. These are my thoughts. Y'all asked for my thoughts. I can't excuse anything because that's a grown-ass woman. Okay? I just want to say that. Next, it is also a part of how tokenism and elitism will put us in spaces where, to survive and to try to protect ourselves, even to protect ourselves from our own community, because being a Black trans femme is like sometimes being a piece of meat in waters with piranhas. And piranhas that don't even know they're piranhas. They're piranhas because of how the world has treated them. And then they become like tools of that same system, so they don't even realize sometimes. But being tools, and you end up existing in this kind of separate world. And it's very odd to live separately from a community that you will be a face of. That's gaggy. And I know a lot of girls who live that way. Laverne is just telling y'all. And that is why I'm like, even though I listened to it and I was like, gag, even though my initial thing was like, oh, girl, take this down. I saw a lot of people sharing that same perspective. I would rather a messy, free version of Laverne amongst us than the shiny Gaultier red carpet Laverne that I don't feel like I can touch, because I'm excited I want to exist in community with her. And I think, and as someone who, even in the difficulty of how community has existed, I believe my life is better because I exist more in community than not. And Laverne deserves a full life as a Black trans woman in her 50s. And a Black trans woman in her 50s also had a different experience. Y'all also love to turn the girls into these martyrs and these angels. A Black trans woman in her 50s had lived a different life than the 23-year-old abolitionist who may have the poster up on the wall. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying, do we want to love each other, or do we want to love perfect versions of each other? Because a lot of y'all, I've been in rooms with these girls. Y'all love curated versions of these girls. And that's why you never see them with their facade off. And the girls that y'all do, the T.S. Madisons of the world, y'all rip and chew them apart. So either we're going to get a Barbie doll Laverne Cox or we're going to get the human Laverne Cox. And I think we deserve and she deserves to be the human version of herself, which means it might be messy and some shit that we didn't want to hear. But I like that. Hey, I need queer people, trans people, black people have done as well. This is just a moment in time where white women were like, yo, this language is weird. And black women were like, yo, this language is weird. It's not inclusive. And you say white woman, that's why in 1920, when women's suffrage, women got the right to vote, black women still couldn't vote. And I a woman? But that was only for them. We had to wait to the 60s. They gave us barriers. You see what I'm saying? So even though you had your vagina, even though they bred you to build this economy in this country with your femaleness, they made you a commodity. You were a fucking puppy mill for labor workers. Even though your vagina had value in that regard, it did not have enough value to make you a woman enough to vote. So you weren't even a woman. So the culture at the time wasn't even considering you a woman. Doesn't that sound familiar? These lines, these arbitrary lines of womanhood doesn't save us. Now all of a sudden you looking at trans women like, no. Now you being very white woman with it. The line is this. Anyway, thumbs up if you're watching. Yes. So this also points out the next step. Some English language uses has changed since the 1960s. For example, people commonly refer to police officers as, policemen and flight attendants and stewardesses.
I'm going to bed.
Even though these titles demonstrate that sex bias is in the
as you can see, they're ready for
the
bed.
magazine, the title of the magazine, Miss, is an alternative to forcing a woman to reveal her marriage status through the use of Miss or Miss. So even in the language of the title of the magazine, MS, that is what you can use if you
Okay, y'all.
that word.
It's definitely bedtime.
MISS or MRS. MS dot is what you use if you don't know if the woman is married or unmarried.
But y'all have a great weekend. Have fun. Be safe. Whatever y'all plan on doing. And I will see y'all next week.
Today, if you don't know the gender, you can just say they. Them. And it's pretty common. You don't, that's just a pretty common language thing. But even in the title of this magazine,